from an from an unknown locations for reasons of security and insecurity, we present to you tonight the MnRTV Live Show. And tonight we've got a very special guest, Zion Zeta, who is an alien contactee, a military abductee, and also an author of a book. And she has so much to say. And I'm very excited to get this because it's going to be a great show. And it's going to be a wonderful guest. And I've seen some of her past podcasts. And let me tell you something. They're very interesting. But without further ado, I present to you from Montreal, the madman himself, Mario, TV Live host. How are you tonight, sir?
Everything is good. I'm glad to be back. Very glad to be back. Where else would I want to be than here, right here, in front of you, all the people out there, because you people are the greatest out there. And then we have a lot of information for you tonight, right? Or this evening. It's evening still. The sun is shining. Sun is shining bright and nice and bright out there, right where we are.
Finally, some sun. We could get some heat around here. I mean, it's been damn cold and rainy and snowy before, but that's for another topic. So tonight, are you excited to have Zion Zeta? I mean, you've seen her podcast before, have you not?
Yes, I did, and I'm very, I tell you, very excited. Just like I'm excited to see that soon we're going to be seeing some buds, rose buds. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Blossoms, lots and lots of blossoms coming out of the trees. But anyhow, we're not going to be talking about nature. We're going to be doing the show. So this is me. This is Mario. I'm going to be showing you what you need to see. Not, you don't need to see me, even though you need to hear what I have to say. Right there, Robert? Right?
That's right. And don't forget, before you go, this show's been brought to you by the Montreal Anti-Illuminati Task Force.
All
so
right.
Let the news, because we've got a lot of information tonight. Let's go.
All right. Now I'm going to be switching on over. So don't go anywhere. Always stay here because you people are the best. Right there. All right.
Exactly. So let's show our viewers, because this is a worldwide transmission being seen broadcast worldwide. There's our MnRTV, MnR production blog.
No, it's MnR Productions, Mariolaur.blogspot.ca. And there she is.
Exactly. But they get the picture. And right here
it's
is
underneath
our
all the previous shows right there. And right here,
exactly.
That's all the information.
Years we've been doing this.
Yeah, soon to be in November. And here, if you don't see deals right there, you got to click on it. Just refresh. This will be there.
Or reload, depending on the browser that you're using. And here, there.
And there's Chitango. Everybody, you have questions for tonight's guest? It's right here. All of it is right here. And we're going to get on to the pictures of the week. Right there.
Yeah. Okay. Whoa. I can't see this. Let me take off my glasses. Okay, I guess. What does Hillary Clinton do? I don't know. I see all kinds of craziness right here that she's done here. Oh, boy. Just look at this, folks. I mean, the list is too small for me to see. The writing, obviously, but hopefully you guys can see it. But, wow.
No, it says here. It says here that some people are alleged raped by Bill Clinton and alleged rape by Bill Clinton. It says all these are sexual assault. It says all these people right there, including Monica Lewinsky. It says here that sexually pressured by Clinton. So that's what it says, you know, and these people get away with murder, right there, Robert?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not fun. It's not funny, that's for sure. Not at all.
No, but that goes to show you how they are, who's in charge of these people, and they want to run corporate America. Sweep on next.
238,000 veterans have died waiting for health care. U.S. increased aid to Israel to $4.5 billion a year. I don't know. There's just something not right about this whole picture here. It not up. That's all I could say about it. I mean, that's a whole show into itself.
Well, the thing is here is this all for the vets, the veterans who don't like me, who want to see me die. Well, did this right here. You see, I'm here to backing you up, the vets, because you are supposed to be, you are the heroes, right? Even though your intentions are good, but yet, what are your intentions? You know, you're serving a corporate America, and here, the bottom, many Israelis here in where I speak to, they're not aware of this right here, that Israel is the U.S. is giving aid to Israel, all that billions of dollars. They're not aware. So this is right here in a nutshell.
It's actually what they're doing is they're giving money to the Rothschilds. That's what they're doing, as if they don't have enough money. They're worth $600 trillion.
Well, the Rothschilds, they own everything anyways. So
yeah,
people need to wake up, open your eyes. That's why we're doing this show, so everybody out there who has their eyes open and open wide. So we've on next. Yeah, I love the veterans. You know, I always see them. I always respect them. You gotta respect and love everybody out there. That's the point.
Yes. When someone tells you to donate to charity for a disease that already has a cure, the pharmaceutical industry won't tell you about. Yeah, they just want to make money off illnesses that they have already created, the vaccine cures for it, and you know, because don't forget, it's a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry. They don't want to lose all that money.
Well, I don't know. How many times have we talked about this? How many times have we talked about this on the show? You know, that they're the ones in control of the big pharma. Big pharma's controlling in the big industry. They control even the doctors. But who cares? A lot of people should care. Nobody cares. We care here. And our millions of viewers care. All right, so we've on next.
All right, next. Freemasons right there, and the 666 number of the beast is in the first one is the Google mailbox. Google Mail. After that, it's the G for Google. It's the same thing as the Freemason. Then Chrome is 666. The Play Store is like the eye of the pyramid. Then Adobe is 666. And then we've got the globe. This is what I don't get. False globe Earth. Are they saying it's the flat Earth?
Very interesting.
Perhaps we could. Our guest can answer that, because if I'm not mistaken, I think, well, if I'm not mistaken, I know she's been abducted by aliens. Our guest coming on to that, maybe she could tell us a bit about the flat Earth, if it's flat or if it's round or whatever it may be. That's something, eh? Yeah, I always learn something new on the MnRTV Live Show.
Because everybody says, oh no, not the flat Earth again. It pisses people off, the flat Earth. So we've on next.
With good reason. Okay. Unless it changes, world starve humanity by 2050. Yeah, when they talk about the pangs of hunger, the pangs of death, of starvation, that sure looks like it.
And you know who's in charge? Hop. Hop wants to dry up everything, right?
HARP, the weapon of choice of the New World Order, Illuminati, the weather modification earthquake machine, HARP, HAARP.
They want to bring in droughts.
You should read this. The average mind has yet to realize our air is currently toxic heavy metals. All presidents are selected, not elected. At least 3 Americans have been killed by Obama's United States illegal drone policy. David Rockefeller had 6 successful heart transplants that I knew. Martial law might be implemented because of a race war. Millions of children are abducted yearly to be sacrificed to demonic gods. horrible, horrible, unthinkable. The Bible is being tossed around like a fairy tale, so Lucifer can lead as many as he can to the pits of hell. I wish more people would read that. I wish the 7 billion people on the earth would read that.
Meh, they choose to read it.
They won't. Exactly. It should be printed in every language.
Wages.
Salary. Retired U.S. presidents, $450,000 for life. Salary of Senate, $174,000, and then it goes down, down. An average income for senior on Social Security, $12,000. I think we found where the cuts should be made. If you agree, pass it on. I certainly agree.
Yeah, we're like slaves here, and these guys, they're living like kings even after they retire.
Perhaps it's funny we could take off this planet, go somewhere else. Somewhere else what's better than this place we call Earth. One day. Number one, you've been intensely dumbed down by the American education system. You've been force-fed lies by the corporate-owned mass media. You've been socially engineered through Hollywood movies, the music industry, and TV programming. You've been enslaved by the banks and credit card companies, forced to toil your life away. You've been drugged, brainwashed, and robbed by big pharma, big insurance, the big American healthcare racket. You've been tricked into thinking the U.S. is a free democracy, not knowing it is a corporate oligarchy. You've been poisoned by toxic foods, fluoridated water, GMOs, and the food industrial complex in general. But many people don't care for this.
No.
Okay.
As long as they're able to watch their sports, and as long as they're able to have their iPods working and iPads, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters.
Okay, and the final picture. America 2016, food. That's
fast
food,
food.
water.
Fast food.
Yeah, fast food, water. Doesn't look like water. Role model. Oh gosh, genius. Huh. And that's the leader, Donald Trump.
Something that doesn't add up in all videos. But a lot of people say, like, some people give me heck for this one. They call me jerk because I put this picture because they like Trump, you know? But could we trust Trump? That's the question. You know? I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody.
We did put a show of Donald Trump, what he's all about, and it's not something we personally think that he's in it for himself.
So those pictures,
and he is working for the Illuminati, but that's for another.
Those pictures were here on the Conspiracy Talk on both Google Plus and Facebook, and right here, there it is. And if you want to see this week's show, just click on here.
Is this week's show with our guest Zion Zeta coming on tonight at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, and we have a whole bunch of stuff like on our Conspiracy Talk. We get information. Sometimes we put it up on our show. We also learn, and there's always requests to join the show. So, folks, join the Conspiracy Talk on Google Plus.
And be nice. You can comment. Right. You can comment like everybody is commenting on here, you know. But be nice, respect, because hey, that's exactly that's what respect does nowadays, you know. So we're gonna be going into the news of the week, which there's quite a lot. If I tell you, there's good news. We're gonna start with some good news. How about wait? Let me just make it a little bit tad bigger right here. Look at this reason to celebrate right there.
Victory. The arch from the Temple of Baal plan has been cancelled.
No, what happened there?
They don't want us getting us the information. That's what it is.
Okay. All right, there we go. It's been canceled. The Temple of Baal
is not coming to Times Square in New York City this month. This is great news, and it represents an incredible victory for Christians in the United States. As you will see below, the New York Times Snoops and a whole host of other mainstream news sources reported last month that everything was on track for reproduction of the giant 48-tall arch that stood in front of the Temple of Baal in Palmyra, Syria, to be put up simultaneously in New York City and Trafalgar Square in London during the month of April. But now that will not be happening. The only arch that will be going up will be the Trafalgar Square, and it won't be the one from the Temple of Baal. The Institute for Digital Arch changed plans of putting up a reproduction of the Arch of Triumph, where the Romans originally built in Palmyra, and that has nothing to do with Baal. So why has this been such a dramatic change in plans? Yes, why has it, my friend?
I don't know, because you know why? Because we've all been praying that Christ keeps his power.
Exactly. So I guess, yeah, exactly. Right there. It says it right there. If we go down a bit, the original plan has been scrapped. When the IDA revealed last December, it was intending to use its data and expertise to build not one, but two replicas to be unveiled simultaneously. It generated headlines across the world. Since then, there has been some backtracking of the original idea. There will be no simultaneous unveiling in New York. They may transport the London Arch there later or build a new one, another one. And the Palmyra Arch that is being reconstructed is no longer the entrance to the Temple of Baal. Well, that's great news.
Telling you, for all the people out there who say there's no Christ and no God, we're right here. We bought some time so we can keep doing our work and bringing the world to the Lord Jesus Christ. For all the people out there who don't know the Lord Jesus Christ.
There's more work for but like it says over here, a lot of God's people are happy. That's great. And look, yeah, biblical verses, yeah. Because in there, what they were planning on doing was, what they were planning on doing orgies and child sex. And that's not something we want, not at all. So for now, at least that's been postponed or whatever. So I'm very happy that this has been taken care of.
Yes, we have victory, a little bit of victory, but at the end we will have more victory because we always have to have victory. All right.
Exactly. Okay, next.
Next, this show we always got to talk about chemtrails. And right here, NASA.
Yeah. NASA confesses to dosing Americans with airborne lithium and other chemicals. And we see that often. Well, I don't see it so much, but in the summertime here we see it. That's the official explanation of why NASA is spraying lithium, a pharmaceutical drug most often used to treat people with manic depression or bipolar disorder, into our ionosphere. And then there's the probable reason. It would be easier to accept NASA's official explanation if they were not so secretive about everything they study and do in space. But one thing's for sure, NASA's own personnel have admitted that lithium, along with other chemicals, are intentionally being placed into our environment regularly. It is possible that many of NASA's own employees aren't even aware of the true motivations for carrying out such a project, ironically displaying the very behaviors that the chemical pharmaceutical instill.
Yeah, but lithium, isn't it for the bipolar people?
Yeah, but I think myself that there's a lot more to it than that. What do you think they're spraying us? They want to make us sick to control us. Chemtrails through with heart. But you know, I think that's one thing NASA, which actually stands for Never a Straight Answer, has done, because we know that their space program is just a front for a real space program that's like maybe light years away, I mean, many, many years ahead of us, probably with alien technology. What do you think about that, Mr. Mario?
I honestly think that they're trying to fool us, but don't they know that us here at the MnRTV Live Show, we're onto them, just like the followers, all the followers watching this show live right now. When it gets recorded, they they will understand too. They will start waking up. We need to wake up the sheeple. That's what this is all coming down to.
Exactly.
Hey there, Paulette.
Exactly, for sure.
Hey there, Lalande. Hey there,
Always there too.
Zion. Hey there. Welcome to the show, everybody.
All right, and we're gonna have a nice show tonight. Okay, the next one is coming up soon.
Yeah, hold on there, Robert. Let me just see if I can make it.
Yes, one of our favorite topics.
Yes, right here from Africa, right there.
Africa News. CERN's Hadron Particle Collider back up after maintenance.
So it's back up.
It's back up because what they're trying to do is they're trying to go into another, like they're doing particles, testing particles. They want to see what happened before the Big Bang, and with the protons and the neutrons and all the scientific stuff, you know, and 1 billion protons collision per second. They're trying to open up a dimension into another world or another parallel universe, and that could create such things like a black hole that could swallow up the whole universe. But I think they say that, but I think that that's too extreme for this. But anyhow, it's been offline, now it's been put up online too. It's been put back upline, and it's going to be something very dangerous if it happens. And did you know, Mr. Mario, did you know that the China wants to build a Hadron Collider even bigger than the one right now in Switzerland?
What's this world coming to? You know?
Exactly.
What does the people on Chitango think of? What does the people on Chitango think about CERN? Anybody?
CERN, yeah, and the Hadron Collider. Exactly. That's not something that should be tampered with. I mean, they want something to come out of another dimension.
But it's back
the president of CERN. All right. Next piece of information right here. To avoid disaster, we must teach robots to disobey us. Well, humans disobey humans, so maybe programming a robot is not that far off also.
So something is psychologically wrong with this picture. Something is very psychologically wrong with this title, I should say.
I know, there's the robot.
And here we are, we have computers, and we don't want them to disobey us, and we freak out when they disobey us. So do we want robots to disobey us?
No. Should you always do what other people tell you to do? Clearly not. Everyone knows that. So should future robots always obey our command? At first glance, you might think they should, simply because they are machines, and that's why they are designed to. But then think of all the times you would not mindlessly carry out other instructions and put robots in these situations. Just consider an elder care robot tasked for forgetful owner to wash the dirty clothes, even though the clothes had just come out of the washer. A preschooler who orders the daycare robot to throw a ball out the window. A student commanding a robot tutor to do all the homework instead of doing it herself. Can't we get a robot to go to a job instead?
Yes, it's coming there. But then after that, they won't get paid, and we won't get the money, and we'll have to live off the land.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just ridiculous, all that. You know, I mean, I find I have enough. I have like three computers, one tablet, one smartphone, and I find it's enough. But you know, these robots, they're just gonna take away everything, and one day it's gonna be rise of the machines. I've always been scared of, Mary, I don't know about you, if Google is the internet, or Google is actually live and thinking in itself.
Well, they made Sophia, the robot, and nothing good is coming out of that one.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't it the robot that was cursing in that?
That want to destroy humanity.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's starting off very bad.
Exactly. All right.
Yes, I know, but a lot of goodies is going on in the Chatango. I don't want to let go of it, you know? Now, these
I know
one.
it's very interesting. But don't forget, our guest is coming on at 8:15. Okay. Zion Zeta coming on, and we can't wait for that. We've been talking about it all week. I've been excited. U.S. Senator claims 9/11 attackers had support with U.S. 16 years later, and we're still learning and we're still shocked about the 9/11 tragedy. Former Florida governor and Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Graham has gone on national television in America saying that he believes the 9/11 attacks were an inside job. On Saturday, CBS News released a trailer for an upcoming episode in which Graham claims that 19 hijackers did not commit the attacks on September 11, 2001. I think it's implausible to believe that 19 people, most of whom didn't speak English, most of whom had never been in the U.S. before, didn't have a high school education, and could not have carried out such a complicated task without such support from within the United States. Well, it's well, we all know about that, don't we? Well, what are your views on this?
It's wide open. Now it's up to people to grasp it and say, yeah, you know what? Let's wake up. It's out there. The proof is out there. People need to wake up. That's what it's all about. That's why I'm putting these. Because 9/11 was the key point of everything that's going to be happening right up to now. It's like the cornerstone, right?
That's right. Exactly. The cornerstone of it all.
And it's happening and it's right there.
Exactly.
I just love Chatango. I could spend all day just looking at Chatango, but we got to get on with
let's
the
not
news.
do that. No, wait. Yeah, right here.
Oh, this I love. This I love.
Unexplained genetic superheroes overcome disease mutations. Scientists found. Now, scientists focus on people who carry genetic mutations that cause severe childhood diseases, but don't get them. And look at that. There's the DNA strands right there.
They're creating monsters.
A tiny number of people with genetic mutations that lead to the development of severe childhood diseases. But these people did not actually have these diseases, according to a new study. In the study, researchers looked at the genetic data for more than 500,000 people from around the world. The scientists found 13 adults who carried the exact same genetic mutations that cause diseases, such as cystic fibrosis, which severely affects the lungs and digestive system, or a condition called Pfeiffer syndrome, which affects the skills. But despite the mutations, these adults had not developed these diseases. The result may be the first step toward identifying ways to prevent other people who also have the mutations from developing such disease, the researchers said. Yeah, I know. And you know what? Before that, then we have 12 strands of DNA.
Yeah.
And now we're down to 2, right? So that tells me that we've been genetically altered.
What are they really up to? It's like all Marvel and DC, you know. What are they doing?
Marvel and DC comics. Yeah, we saw Marvel and DC. We saw the man Dawn of Justice, and it seemed like the aliens. The disclosure is going to be coming soon. I expect the motherships to appear one day, or something wild. Paulie, yes, I have Windows 10. Well, the problem with the Windows 10 is my Skype. I have to use my tablet to get my guests on it, right, Mario?
Yes, because Windows 10 sucks.
Exactly. So I upgrade from Vista to Windows 10, and luckily I have the tablet because people won't be able to hear my guests on the show because there's something wrong with the computer. And we called Microsoft, and no one seems to know. We contacted Google. No one seems to know. So who knows?
So don't bother upgrading.
If you don't have to.
It's not worth it. Avoid it at all costs. Sweep on next.
The only thing that doesn't work on this computer. That's the only thing. Conspiracy crazed. Why 12 million Americans believe alien lizards rule us? All right, it's another article right here. Psychologists are trying to determine why other rational individuals can make the leap from prudent paranoia to illogical conspiracy theories. Okay, there we see the picture right there. According to a public policy polling survey, around 12 million people in the US believe that interstellar lizards in people suits rule our country. We imported the particular belief from across the pond, where professional conspiracy theorist David Icke has long maintained that the Queen of England is a blood-drinking, shape-shifting alien. Conspiracies are not necessarily bad, but according to psychologists who study them, if we were all completely trusting, it would not be good for survival, explains Robert Brotherton, an academic psychologist and author of Suspicious Minds, of why we believe conspiracy theories. Sometimes people are in mind. Yeah, that's true. If we believe everything the government says, we'd be in a lot of trouble, that's for sure. Are there a lot of illogical ideas to pick up from around 66 million Americans who believe that aliens landed at Roswell, New Mexico? Around 22 million people believe that the government faked the moon landings, and around 160 million believe that there's a conspiracy surrounding the assassination of former US President John F. Kennedy. Well, the thing is, the way there's David Icke right there. And yeah. The thing is, with the moon, either the moon were faked, or we were told not to go back to the moon, that there was alien ships over there, and they were warned not to go back. So it's either that or they never went on the moon.
But you know something there, Robert? I'm not surprised. You know, I'm really not surprised if if aliens, reptilians are in power.
Where?
In power from the government.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's true. Look, and it says conspiracies are for losers, and I don't know. It's a long article. This over here, my friend.
But all these articles and news beats, they're all going to appear in the description, along with the blog. You know,
it's kind of debatable if Obama and the Queen of England's actually reptilians. You know, but sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. But wow,
maybe Putin and Trump and Hillary are reptilians themselves.
I don't know.
All of them.
All right, and this article right here is from one of our viewers. Sent us this. Quebec reports, where we live in the province of Quebec. Quebec reports more UFOs than any other province. Well, I tend to agree. I mean, I saw two UFO unidentified flying objects last year. The 2015 Canadian UFO survey says Quebec leads the country when it comes to sightings of unidentified flying objects. The annual survey by Winnipeg-based ufology research was released Monday and says that last year had the second largest numbers of sightings in the last 3 decades, 1,267. The year with the most UFO reports, a whopping 1,981, was 2012, which was supposed to be the year the world would come to an end, according to the Mayan calendar. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland report more UFO sightings last year than the year before, but Quebec alone is responsible for about 35% of all reports in 2015. There were 97 reports in Montreal, where we live, alone, followed by 78 in Toronto, 69 in Vancouver. Edmonton was a distant fourth, and 36 was just 36 sightings. So in Montreal, where we live, 97 reports. And I wonder if it has to do with the MnRTV Live Show, since we're always deep into research of aliens and conspiracies and the New World Order.
Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised.
Maybe we're responsible for the ones in Quebec and Montreal.
Well, most definitely. I'm sure that they're watching, because they like to watch our show. You know, I'm sure that they must find it very, very entertaining.
Trust me, we're being watched. We're being watched by higher powers and the government power has DOS because they don't want this information to get out. And look at there's a chart right there. Reported UFO sightings in Canada 2015. Wow.
You know what it means when we're talking about UFOs, right?
It means that we are gonna go on break, and when we come back from our little break, we're gonna be getting on Zion Zeta, and we can't wait to have her on our show.
Hold your horses there, Robbie. There's just one little thing because we gotta, people want proof and this and that. How much were there and how many did they say and there were in Toronto of UFOs? Raul Diaz? Well, look at Diaz.
Yeah, Toronto area had 78 UFO sightings last year, survey says.
So there's,
and we had 97.
Right. And then this is for Leland, if he's there watching. See, because he lives in Toronto. And there, you see, 78. That's how many they said on the previous one. So yeah, that's just about right. And here, you see that right here, it says the same thing. Montreal has reported 97.
So it doesn't say, yeah.
Yeah, they're right here. Look, yeah. Look. You see, it says it right there, right here. You see that? Yeah,
Montreal with 97 reports exactly. So you see, yeah, and at least one or two were mine. No, I reported one, then I didn't bother reporting it to move on because they said it was a cloud that I saw, but I could tell the difference between a white cloud and a type of ship. Type of whatever it was white, and I explained it before. It was just floating. Just flying by. It couldn't even have. It doesn't mean it was an alien ship. It could have been those military crafts that we don't know about.
But then again, that's why they're called UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
Exactly.
All right. Exactly. So shall we get Trish on?
Yeah, get her on, and then we're gonna go for a little break, and then we're gonna have Zion Zeta. So don't you guys go because the main event is coming up in a few short minutes.
All right. So here she is. Here's the one we kind of been waiting for to give us the break. Don't go anywhere, people. And here she is. Here's Trish.
Zion Zeta is a 23-year-old alien abductee contactee, as well as a military abductee. Her psychic abilities began to develop as her contact with otherworldly beings increased after an alleged encounter followed by an abduction by the Greys in November of 2009. 5 months after her family witnessed a UFO in June of 2009, unaware of the UFO incident that was taking place outside her home, Zion saw a humanoid silhouette out of the corner of her eye standing outside her window. But since they were living on a 3rd floor at the time, she discarded what she saw. Yet, the eerie feeling of being watched would not go away. Zion had a spiritual awakening in 2010 after being confronted by a reptilian council in a vision and told that she was not fulfilling her agreement, which was a contract to reincarnate on Earth for a specific purpose, a purpose that is still unknown to her. After this, Zion began to witness black helicopters. She experienced electronic interference, phone tapping, internet surveillance, hacked online blogs, mysterious calls at 3.00 am, even encountering the Men in Black, and several alleged military abductions, but not every experience was negative. In 2011, Zion started drawing alien beings out of the blue, after seeing their faces in random places around her home. In 2012, she had an astral encounter where she was asked to heal another human, by a group of reptilian beings and their leader, the Draconian General, who ended up being one of the alien beings that she had drawn 6 months before meeting him. Not long after their encounter, Zion realized that she was in contact with a militaristic group of benevolent Draconians, and that not all of them were sinister like she previously thought. Zion has been reading the tarot for over 6 years, and in those years she has offered readings for thousands of people online as well as in person. In May of 2013 she became a certified angel card reader. She was professionally trained by spiritual doctor of psychology Doreen Virtue as well as by tarot expert and astrologer Ragna Valentine. Zion is also a self-taught graphic designer, web developer and brand designer. Her mission is to help others by building, designing and launching their unique, professional and out-of-this-world websites so that they can confidently shine in cyberspace like the stars that they are. Zion has been a guest on several radio shows including The Galactic Connection, with host Erica Goach from the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, Desert Mermaid, with host Carol Michaela and Spirit Quest, with host Tony Poshik both from Wolf Spirit Radio, and The Paranormal Lounge, with hosts Chris George and Victor Fearman from DT and Wicked Radio. You can find Zion Zeta on Facebook and YouTube, where she offers monthly guidance for the zodiac signs using the magic and power of the cards.
Thank you very much there, Trish. You're the greatest. I'm very happy that you always be part of the show, just like everybody out there who are part of the show.
That's right. And we're very happy that in a few minutes we're going to be getting on Zion Zeta on our show. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be an honor. Mario, have you seen me this excited? I don't think you've seen me this excited in a while, eh? About this.
No, haven't seen you that excited, Robert, in a long time. For some odd reason, you know.
Exactly.
It's good. It always gives you lots and lots of time to realize how important everybody is out there when you get excited about things like these.
I know. And she'll be talking about alien contacts, military abductions, out-of-body, black helicopters, men in black, psychic attacks, an upcoming book, connecting the stars, and I can't wait to get all this information. I mean, psychic attacks. Who knows? Maybe we've been attacked in the past. Probably have.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Without a shadow of a doubt. That's for sure. I agree with you. Don't you?
I always agree. I agree with it 100%. I guarantee you. I agree with you. You know?
Exactly. I know, and we can't wait for this to happen. I mean, a lot of people they wonder, what's going on and everything. And tonight we've got the perfect person to answer all this and all your questions. So,
yes,
exactly. So I guess it's that time. I'm going to be contacting Zion Zeta in a few seconds or so. So are you going to be ready?
I'm ready, Eddie. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. And remember, people out there, here, you could always post on here because I'm going to be showing whatever you post on here. And then it's great that, you know, we all have a say in deals and that you people can participate, you know. Because if you can participate, there's, you know, it's always nice to have all of us all open there, being a whole big family and making things happen.
Zion Zeta, welcome to the MnRTV Live Show.
Hello there. Thank you so much, Robert and Mario, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight.
That's wonderful. And Mario, can you hear her?
I hear her loud and clear.
All right, perfect. So Zion Zeta, welcome again to the MnRTV Live Show, and we're very, very grateful to have you on. And we care to tell our audience who you are, and let's begin the show.
Well, I would like to introduce myself to all of you who may not know me and are new to who I am and what I do. First of all, I would like to thank you guys so much for the beautiful introduction. I hope that both of you and your audience can hear me just well. I'm having a really big thunderstorm here, so I apologize if the communication is kind of choppy. I basically don't have anything to add because with the introduction that you guys have made about me is, I think, more than enough to give all the listeners to who, if you guys have any questions for me, you can feel free to ask me about my journey and so forth.
All right. So I understand that you're writing a book, right? Is this correct? You've written the book and it's going to be coming out soon.
Yes, I was writing Connecting the Stars, which is the title for my upcoming book. It's going to be released on June 16 of this year of 2016, and it is going to be available in Amazon as well as in Barnes and Noble, as far as I am aware. However, just in paperback. I am still working on releasing the Kindle version and perhaps even an audiobook version of the book. Because I will be self-publishing, I am doing absolutely everything on my own, and it's going to take me a little bit of time, but I feel that June 16 is the perfect date to release the book without any challenges on the way.
Well, that's great. So, what alien contacts? Can you tell us about alien contacts?
I'll be talking about absolutely everything that has ever happened to me ever since I can remember, ever since I was like 2 years old or so. I'll be speaking about all of my alien contacts that I've had along the years, how everything started, as well as the interference from the powers that be, you know, like the shadow military and the men in black and the psychic attacks and not so positive beings, you know, because I have positive and negative encounters with several races and within those races. For example, a lot that all the reptilians are evil and they classify this entire race as being a certain way. However, based on my own personal experience, that is not the case. It's just like saying that all Americans love McDonald's or that all Germans are Nazis. It just doesn't make any sense. Yes, of course, there are some bad humans, and this is exactly the same case when it comes to these beings, like the reptilians. Just like, for example, the more Nordic-looking aliens, like, for example, the Pleiadians, they are very handsome and very angelic, but based from my own personal experience, I've had encounters with native Pleiadians, and some people have questioned my experience, and they asked me if it was actually a reptilian shapeshifter. And I told them that this being had no other appearance but a humanoid and very attractive appearance. So that tells you that in outer space there's a huge variety of races, and not all of them are benevolent, but not all of them are evil.
Okay, and can you tell us, have you ever been in a flying saucer?
I've never been, as far as I am aware, in my physical body, but I have had actual experiences where I have been to different types of spacecrafts before.
Okay, wow, that's wonderful. Can you tell us about the general?
Well, the general is a very interesting being because I would like to backtrack a little bit to 2011. I know that all the listeners heard the introduction and they got like a brief taste of what happened to me. In 2011, out of the blue, I started to draw things that I could see in the bathroom's towel and the rugs and the walls and the ceilings. And eventually I started to meet some of these beings that I had drawn because I had seen them somewhere. And even though this wasn't the case with the general was a different case. He was actually something out of inspiration. I was talking with a friend of mine one time in December of 2011, and she was sharing with me a negative encounter that she had with a reptilian commander. And this actually inspired me to draw. So I took out my notebook and I started to draw whatever I was perceiving because I could see a specific image in my mind's eye. And that's how the general turned out. But I thought that he was a green-skinned reptilian with red eyes. Now, 6 months later, in April 5th of 2012, it's when I finally met him. I wouldn't say by accident, but it was pretty much a surprise because my experience with him was the following one. I woke up in the spacecraft and I became aware of my surroundings, and I was in this round room where there was this man resting over a bunch of pillows on the floor. And he he seemed to be an elder with a semi-dark skin. And I saw 3 hooded reptilians, one of them with a different green skin tone, and the general. And they were all sitting at the left side of this man on their knees in the floor. And the general was closer to the man's feet. So they all invited me to approach this man and attempt to heal him. And being the pessimistic person that I am, I told them, you know what, I am not a healer. I apologize, but I think you guys got the wrong person. But they continue to insist and motivate me to attempt to do this. So I sat down next to this man at his right side, and I placed my hands over his shins, over his knees and his shins. And I closed my eyes, and I started to breathe deeply. Now, the reptilians and the generals started to hum the mantra, and their voices in unison were so deep and powerful that it made my surroundings vibrate. And so did I. I started to follow along, and I could perceive in my mind's eye the colors of the 7 chakras merging and becoming one. When I felt that I had finished healing this man, I opened my eyes and I noticed that my hands were glowing white. But as soon as I opened up my eyes, the glow disappeared. Now the beings clapped and they congratulated me, but I was mostly curious about the general. Because when I had a closer look, I realized, oh goodness, he is real. He is one of the portraits that I drew a couple of months ago. And I was absolutely shocked and curious about him. So I asked him, who are you guys? He responded, we're just a group of friends. And I knew that there was something more to that. So I stood up because I could feel that my legs were falling asleep for sitting on them for so long. And so did he. And that's when I told him, I don't believe you. And that's when the general seemed to take a deep breath. And that's when he said to me, I am your star father. And that's when everything crumbled around me, because at the time I hated the Draconians. I did not believe that there could be positive beings within this race. Even though I was positive reptilians, I wasn't open to benevolent Draconians. And that's when everything around me just faded, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked that even the general noticed that my physical body was pulling me back, but they were holding me on their ship for a certain period of time so that they could talk to me, especially the general mainly. So he was very concerned. So he was rather disappointed in me for not believing in him. But when he saw that my astral body was literally trying to come back to my physical one, he became really concerned. And that's when he grabbed me from the arm, and we both ran away out of that room, across the hallway, with a lot of Draconians wearing the same uniforms in the hallway, minding their own business. And the general led me to another room on the spacecraft where there was this sort of like a capsule, like some sort of teleporting capsule, and he pushed me into it, and me back. Well, maybe you guys are wondering, why did he teleport you when you could have returned on your own? It was because my physical body was already awake. Because when I became aware of my surroundings back in the physical plane, I did not open my eyes because they were already open. My physical body was already awake in a way, but my consciousness was not in it. And he wanted to teleport me because it was going to be much, much faster for me to return rather than on my own. And that's when I woke up and I had sleep paralysis for at least 15 minutes or so due to the shock that I gave to my body. And that's when I told my family, hey, he is a real being. I just met him.
Oh my God. And what caught me in what you just told me, what gets to my attention is when you said he's your star father. What does this mean, he's your star father?
Well, there is this belief that that I also believe. I don't know if, other people will believe me, and this is not my intention. My intention is not to force other people to believe in what I say, but rather to take what they resonate with. What he meant by star father is that my soul, not my physical body, my soul, who I truly am, is actually part of their family. So in other words, my soul is his daughter. I decided to reincarnate on Earth for a specific mission that is still unknown to me. Is, in other words, my father from another world or dimension.
So that would mean you're extraterrestrial, your soul, and you're in a human body, if this is what I understand to be correct.
Yes, that would be the term starseed. Starseeds are conscious people who are aware of their true origins. They know that their true selves, that their souls are here, but that they do not belong here. And this is why so many people feel that they don't fit in with society, and they feel that their parents are not their parents, even though they know that they are not adopted, but they do feel, they have this inner feeling that they have a family somewhere else. And these are just some of the signs that they may be starseeds.
Okay, so I was like, I'm not Ariel. Do you have any sort of powers that we don't have? We don't have anything specific?
No. That's something that a lot of people ask me. They think that just because I say that I am a starseed, that I am some kind of special snowflake, but truth is, I am not. I am pretty much a normal human being, just like everybody else. It's just that I have this different belief that not many people have. And my experiences don't make things any better, because things seem to get even weirder, considering that I have ET contact. So I am automatically the black sheep of the family and among my friends. So this is not something that I really talk about too often, because it makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't want people to think that I am special or that I have superpowers. I am just like everybody else, and I don't even know why am I here for. So that is all that I can really say about it.
Do these aliens, extraterrestrials, speak a different language when you're with them? Or is it just English or telepathic? How does this work?
It's funny because my native tongue is Spanish. I am from Puerto Rico, but I learned English on my own by watching television ever since I really contact with them has always been in English, which again, it's quite funny because my native tongue is Spanish, but they communicate with me in fluent English. However, there are some of them whose English is very, very limited.
Very, very, okay. So, speaking of which, when you see these reptilian beings, the general, how do they speak? Do they have like a lisp or something? Do they sound like lizard-like people or regular?
No, they sound absolutely perfectly normal. Whenever I've seen them, they don't lick their lips like I've seen in other cases. They don't really do anything weird or lizard-like that I would consider. They're pretty much aware that their appearance is different from our appearance.
And where do they come from?
As far as I am aware, I believe that this specific crew comes from Alpha Draconis. Not exactly sure in which exact star, but they come from that constellation.
How long does it take for them to get here?
I am not aware of that information.
Okay, and you don't know how if they travel interdimensionally or warp speed or anything like that?
No, I am not aware of that information because they hold a couple of things back from me, because they know that I have had my dealings with the military, the shadow military, so they don't really want to put me at any sort of risk.
So do you think you're on some kind of mission over here?
Excuse me?
Do you think you're on some kind of mission? Maybe you're here for a reason, a specific reason that you still don't know.
I do believe that I am here for a mission, and I do feel that it has to do with helping people, but I am not aware exactly into help way.
Okay, let's get on to talking about psychic attacks. What is this exactly?
A psychic attack is when you literally receive a physical attack that comes from either another dimension or has been sent by someone, negative thoughts or voodoo work that they have done to you to affect you somehow and in some way. After I started to practice astral projection in 2010, the very beginning of 2010, I had no idea where to astral travel to. And so I decided to focus on military bases. Why? Because it was first something that I was not familiar with. And second, it was something that I could confirm later on by checking it out online if I succeeded. For example, one of my experiences, I was like, I want to go to a military base. I don't want to see anything online that may trigger held in my subconscious mind, because I want to make sure if this is something genuine, something real. Because at the time, I was discovering the subject about star seeds after researching more information about astral projection. So I thought, well, you know, I don't believe what these crazy people are saying, but you know what? I want to astral project and I want to see how it's done. And my focus is going to be military bases because it's something that I am not familiar with. So I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to look them up and see if it's something real or not. So I started to practice every single night before falling asleep, you know, focusing on just going to a military base, not having a specific image in mind, just the intention of going to a military base. And I did succeed. I did go to a military base, which was located in the middle of the desert. However, I can't really give you an extent because, again, there's plenty of deserts on Earth, and I am sure there's plenty of military bases on deserts around Earth. But when I went to this military base, at the time I was frightened of aliens, nothing to do with them. So when I saw 6 silver disc-shaped UFOs in the sky, I became frightened and I ran away. So, and when I came across this type of home with this round ceiling, but this home was completely metallic, I was like, this place seems safe, so I'm gonna get here. But and I had no, and next thing I knew, there was this guy with a rifle who was pointing it at me and telling me that he could see me and to move forward to another room. So I decided to follow the instructions that the soldier was giving me, and I entered this room where there were a lot of people in different uniforms. People from the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Army, people from NASA. They had the blue uniforms with the logos, and some secretaries. The next thing I knew, another door opened and all these UFOs came flying into the base. And that's when they landed. And as soon as they landed, I began to feel this electrifying sensation all over my body. My breathing was constricted. I couldn't breathe properly. And I fell down to my knees. And I was beginning to feel weak and losing consciousness. That's when I heard that one of them said, teleport her to another room with a weapon. Saying, I know, I blacked out. Now, a couple of moments later, when I woke up, I was confronted by this high-ranked military officer with a gray uniform who told me, do not go back to the bases. Get out of here and don't return. And that's when he sent me back home. And I was pushed out of my chair at full speed, and I traveled back to my home at literally, I would say, at light speed. And the funny thing about this is that when I entered through the wall to my bedroom, I could see myself lying face down, resting my head over my forearms. And when I told to myself, you know what? If this is the only thing that I can remember, and if I wake up in this same position, it means that my astral trip was a success. And what do you know? When I woke up in the same position with sleep paralysis.
I've had sleep paralysis also, and what happened was I had sleep paralysis. Like I said on numerous shows, I saw shadow creatures trying to come into me and get me, and it seemed like I was in another dimension. How would you say sleep paralysis was experienced. Was it similar to mine?
It is similar to yours because after pervasive experience, I started to see shadow people before falling asleep. Not even with sleep paralysis. I started to see them, shadow people, walking around my bedroom at night, and I wasn't really sure about what I was seeing. I thought that, hey, since the doors are very dark brown, maybe I'm just seeing things in this door, until they would move out of the door and stand next to me. So I'm not really sure about the purpose of the shadow people, but I feel that they are mostly there to intimidate people.
I think I sense pure evil. Like sometimes it happens. Like I get like what do you call them? The succubus coming in, and I sense like a dread of evil. Like it's an evil. I sense that it's beyond anything, like chilling to the bone. Did you ever get this feeling?
It is, and to be honest with you, Robert, it's way more frightening than confronting a 7-foot tall reptilian.
No, I think I'd be scared if I saw a reptilian. I mean, a talking lizard, heart attack.
Well, it's understandable. Not many people are prepared to see these highly intimidating beings, which brings me back to the subject of the draconians, especially the general. I understand that people can get frightened of the general simply because he's got red eyes with black vertical pupils. And I understand that, but again, you have to really get to know the being before judging them, because you really never know if they are actually benevolent in nature.
And is the general good or evil?
He is actually very benevolent. This is something that I had to struggle accepting back in 2012, because I couldn't get it through my head. I can't believe it. A positive draconian, this is insane. But that is exactly why the general showed up on the first place to me, so that I could face my fears and so that I could stop being so harsh towards an entire race and lumping them up and labeling all of them as evil. And I admit it took me some time to accept him, to acknowledge, hey, not all Dracos are evil, just like humans. And I eventually accepted him into my life, and now we have pretty much a very good relationship. And he actually inspired me. He was my inspiration to go public with my experiences, because I know that there's a lot of people that are frightened, not only of the reptilians, but Dracos. Dracos seem to have an even worse reputation than the reptilians themselves. And this is exactly why I decided to go public with my experiences, in hopes to inspire others who may have had experiences similar to my own, or may not, so that they don't really feel alone on their journey. My intention is to inspire others to speak up about their experiences, but if they don't want to speak up about them publicly, I want them at least to feel safe and empowered, that they are not alone on their journey.
Have you ever been physically attacked by one of these beings, physically or spiritually attacked, that they've attacked you and held you down or anything like that? And anything like
I have never experienced that ever. In fact, pretty much never. In fact, they are the ones who warn me in my dreams to be careful, either about a certain person or about a certain being, or whenever I am having a nightmare, they usually step in to break the nightmare and to change the scenario in my dreams, because I tend to have a lot of panic attacks during my sleep because of these nightmares. These nightmares can either be about alien abductions with grace, or something that has to do with the military government, or the shadow military rather, excuse me. They usually interfere to break that, so that I am not reached by lower vibrational forces.
Have you ever been in any military bases that you would know, like Dulce base?
I am not aware if it was in either Area 51 or the Dulce base, but I have been in military bases before. There is this particular experience that I had where I suddenly became aware of my surroundings. And I think that night I was pretty focused on astral traveling again to another military base. And when I became aware of my surroundings, I noticed that it was almost 6 in the morning. and I was in this waiting room from what seemed to be a doctor's office. And the secretary herself looked pretty much very strange to me because her eyes looked a little bit odd and her skin tone was a very light gray. And she was pretty much emotionless. And I say this because there were several people on this room on the floor, and they were all yelling, they were crying, they were panting and moaning. It's like they were tortured or something because they were so traumatized over what happened that they couldn't even speak properly. And next thing I knew, my name was called, and it was my turn to walk into another room where a doctor was. And all these people seemed to be so frightened that they wanted to tell me something, but their fear was so intense that they couldn't really say anything. And this experience was in 2010, by the way. It was way before meeting the benevolent Draconian crew. So I walked into this room, and there is this doctor who is holding a needle. And he says, "This won't take too much of your time." And I asked him, "What in the world is that?" And he said, "Oh, this is an etheric shot." And I want everybody to be aware of this specific word, etheric. I'll give you guys the meaning after I finish. And I was like, what that is, so whatever. So I decided to sit down on the metal table and just follow along. And I remember that there was this television playing some random show, and I was entertained by it. And he started to grab me from the left arm, and he was going to give me a shot on the left arm. However, I became aware that right next to me, over my right side, there was this green liquid capsule. And I had no idea what it was for. But as soon as I became aware of this, right next to me, I received a telepathic message where I was being told, "Get out of there because they want to trap you." And that's exactly what I did. I jumped out of the metal table away. However, when I am back into this waiting room, I noticed that there was this huge vault-like door. You guys may be aware of the bank, very wide and thick, made of steel. So this door was closing on its own pretty fast, and the only thing that I could do was just focus on it with my own mind and attempt to do telekinesis and to just hold it open until I could reach it and escape. And that is exactly what I did, and what exactly happened. Open, and I ran away across the white hallway, very long hallway, no windows or anything. And the doctor was right behind me, about to grab me, but then I couldn't wake up. I could not wake myself up from the experience. I was slapping myself, I was hitting myself to wake up, but I couldn't. And it was because they were holding me there. Next thing I heard a familiar scream, which literally forced me to wake up from the experience. And it was so intense that not only did I jump in my bed, but due to the shock, I was paralyzed for 15 or 20 minutes. And this scream was because my mother became scared over my aunt, who had walked into the room to give her her thyroid pill. And my mom became scared and screamed because she saw my aunt all of a sudden. And thanks to her, I woke up. Or else I wouldn't have known what could have happened if I did. And something else that I wanted to point out is that the word etheric is pretty much synonymous for astral. So basically what this doctor was implying was that he was going to give me an astral shot. So in other words, this shot could affect my...
Never heard of it, an astral shot. What could it do to your body? Does that mean maybe you wouldn't be able to return to your body if he gave you that shot?
It could have been several things. It could have been to either hold me there in the military base. It could have been to somehow track me back to my home to see where I lived. Or it could have been like some sort of implant.
Yeah, it's possible. Do you think you have an implant in you? Is that possible?
It is possible to have either physical or ethereal implants. However, I don't think that I have negative implants within myself, because since I've had positive contact so often with these draconian beings, I have seen them literally doing procedures on me where they are removing things from me. So if I had one, I am sure that I don't have any type of negative implants anymore.
Are you able to tell us about hybrid children?
But this is pretty much a very touchy subject for me, because back in 2012, I had pretty much a very disturbing experience where I was in this white room. And it's pretty funny because whenever it's something that has to do with a shadow military, I am usually in a white hallway or white furniture, no windows or nothing. And I was in this white room. I remember that I was wearing a white dress, and I noticed that I was at least 4 months pregnant. And I was caressing my belly, and I could feel something within myself moving very gently. And I was pretty happy, but confused as to how in the world this actually happened. And the next thing I knew, I was pushed to the floor, and I fell down on my knees, and I was held there in that same position. And I could feel that someone was behind me lifting up my dress, and they inserted a metallic device within myself to pull out the baby by force. So I could actually feel that this device was wrapping around the neck of the baby and yanking him or her out of me. And it was very disturbing because when they pulled out the baby completely out of me, I had the most horrifying sense they hated the baby along the process. Next thing I knew, everyone was gone from the room, and I started to vomit. And when I looked at my own vomit, I saw the face of a grave. However, after waking up from this experience, I noticed that it was way too human to have been done by alien forces. And that's what made me realize that it was done by the shadow military.
Yes, this is quite an amazing story over here. Let's talk about the shadow military over here for a bit. Can you tell us something about them?
The shadow military, for those of you who are not aware of what does that mean, the shadow military is basically a secret aspect to the military. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's limited to the United States military, but it can also include other militaristic forces from other countries. Now, what does the shadow military even mean? Well, it means that there is this private secret segment of the military where secret operations are that usually consist of communicating with alien forces and reverse engineered alien technology and exchanging this technology for humans. For example, the shadow military exchanges humans for technology from forces that are not necessarily benevolent in nature. I don't know exactly how advanced their technology may be, but it is quite advanced, because to be able to block or hold down or torture an astral body, something that is not physical, something that is more of a spiritual nature, is pretty much impossible to do with current technology that we presently have. So they may have already at least a technology that is at least 1,000 years in advance. Some of these black ops or covered ops, or however you guys want to call them, involves there's a lot of people and children that go missing every single year, and nobody really knows what happens to these people. And I believe that at least half of these people who go missing, it's because they have been captured by military forces to be used in projects and experiments. What do these experiments consist of? I can't be too sure, because again, I don't have evidence, but from what I have seen in the astral plane, when I have gone to these military bases, they do experiment mixing humans with aliens to create hybrids. They use humans to exchange body parts to, you know, what they used to do back in the times of Hitler, where there were these crazy doctors experimenting on humans. It is pretty much very similar to what is being done today.
Oh, wow. That's just mind-blowing. But why would they want to create like hybrid children? Like, what is the end game here? Do you know?
As far as I am aware, the reason why they want to have these hybrid children away from the public, of course, is to create like some sort of powerful force to fight in the wars. As we all know, there's always a war going on somewhere on planet Earth, right?
Yes.
And they're always looking for a way to advance and to be one step ahead of the enemies that they themselves create. So they want to experiment with people and with hybrid children, sometimes from these people themselves, to see if they are able to create an unlimited source of power that is undefeatable so that they can launch it during these wars. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that they want to, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but cloning is actually a real thing in these military bases.
Yes, we are.
And there is such a thing as super soldiers. As far as I am aware, a super soldier is pretty much an enhanced human being that may have received alien DNA. It is possible to transmit to a human. You don't really have to create a hybrid to have both DNAs mixed in. It is possible to mix alien DNA to an adult, for example. And it is possible to clone this person so that they can experiment on this clone with all of these crazy experiments that they have in mind, DNA or aspect, to see what comes out of it. And these are just one of the operations that can take place in the military bases.
Have you ever heard of the BEKs, the black-eyed kids?
No, I have heard the term, but I am not familiar with them.
Okay. Can you tell us about the MIB, the Men in Black? Have you ever encountered them, and are they human or aliens?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I am so glad that you pointed out to me, because a couple of years ago, I don't really remember exactly when. Again, it's all in the book, written in chronological order. But a couple of years ago, I was walking out of a doctor's appointment with my family, just with my mother and my aunt. And it was during the morning, so it wasn't at night or something. No, it was pretty much during the morning, kind of the afternoon. And we were waiting for the cars to pass by so that we could cross the road to get to the parking lot. And right next to me at my left side, there was this black car that looked pretty much like a black Cadillac. And there was this man in black on the passenger seat in the front, but outside the car, leaning against the door of the front passenger seat. And he was glaring at me as soon as I made eye contact with him. He had shiny black shoes, brand new pants and suit, black tie, white shirt. His hair was brushed back with gel. He had black sunglasses. But what was funny about him, and pretty much surprising to me, was in pale gray. And that made me freak out like you have no clue, because I was like, in my life, I have ever seen someone with a light gray skin. What is going on in here? And as soon as I, screamed to myself mentally, my mother pushed me so that we could cross the road. There was another man in black outside the car, however, facing away from me, speaking over a silver cell phone. And when we crossed the road that we were approaching the parking lot, I looked back at both of them, and they were both staring at me. If they were even staring at me, they were glaring at me as if they wanted to kill me. If looks could kill, I would have been dead. And they were following us with their heads in perfect synchronicity from left to right. And that's when I noticed that something wasn't right here. And I felt a familiar feeling in the center of my forehead, which tends to happen when a being wants to communicate with me telepathically. And that's when I received the thought, shut up or there will be consequences. And all I could do pretty much is respond to them mentally that I was not afraid of them and that I was not going to shut up. And so I continued to walk away with my mother and my aunt. Now, what's funny about this is that at the time, I was receiving calls at 3 in the morning. No IDs. They left voicemails, but the voicemails were silent. And one time when I picked up the phone at 3 in the morning, there was nothing but silence. And when I saw these two men in black, the calls stopped. Right after that day, the calls just stopped.
Wow, that's kind of scary, especially they called you at 3 in the morning, and they didn't even look human, I would suppose, right? Because I've heard that they're not human.
They had a humanoid appearance, you know, they looked human pretty much, but their skin was pretty much a very pale gray. So that's what set off an alarm within me that something wasn't right here. That they looked human, but I knew that they weren't.
And what about the black helicopters?
The black helicopters started as soon as I began to astral project to military bases. And it makes perfect sense considering that, you know, you're going literally in a non-physical body to a restricted zone. And I believe that a reason why I started to witness black helicopters is because they may have found a way to track me down back to my home, which was in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Some of you may be aware that Arecibo has the famous radio telescope, and I lived there. That's where I was born, and where most of these puzzling experiences in military bases and the men in black and the black helicopters took place. Back to the experience, though, I would see them up to 3 times a week. And it was insane because I used to live in that same area 3 to 4 moving to Florida and then back to Puerto Rico. When we moved to Florida, we moved back to Puerto Rico, and we somehow managed to rent the same place that we used to live before moving to Florida. So I remember that this area wasn't really so heavy with air traffic. And that's why I noticed that something strange was going on. But I wasn't aware that the black helicopters were something puzzling that didn't really happen too often. I knew that something was off, but I had no idea of what was truly going on until somebody on television started to talk about the black helicopters. And this person was saying that it was strange that there was so much of Arecibo and El Yunque. Some of you may be aware that El Yunque is a tropical rainforest, the only one, as far as I am aware, from the U.S. territory that is Puerto Rico. And back in 2010, there was a lot of suspicious air traffic and a lot of black military helicopters flying around El Yunque and in Arecibo. And that's what confirmed me that I wasn't going crazy and that something was happening and that these black helicopters were actually something more than meets the eye. There's something that wasn't normal, what I'm trying to say here. One time, though, there was this black helicopter that was flying so low by my apartment that the apartment was vibrating completely. And what's funny about this, Robert, is that the houses in Puerto Rico, the buildings, the structures, everything is made of cement. There are very few houses that are made of wood. So in order to make a building made of cement to shake with so much power, again, it must have taken a lot of power from the helicopter to make an apartment shake and the windows vibrate. And I could see the guy in the helicopter, and I could tell that he was American, considering that his skin was very fair. And in Puerto Rico, it's hot all year, so you can get a tan without even trying. So this guy was either there that suddenly appeared out of the blue, or someone who doesn't go out too often and doesn't get a tan. That's the only way that I could have explained it. All of us in Puerto Rico are pretty much very tan from the sun and the hot weather. So that's how I could tell that he was American, but again, he could have been from another ethnicity or another country. But it was very puzzling that someone so fair-skinned flying a black helicopter around my area just at the time that I am practicing astral projection to military bases. You know, everything started to make sense to me as time continued to go on.
Have you ever encountered like any type of police, anything, military, death threats, anything from all of this?
Well, skipping a couple of years, I was approached by a man who was from the military. And what's funny about this is that I had no idea that he was until a year later. I was sharing all of my strange experiences on the internet because I wanted answers. I wanted someone to tell me what is going on to me, what is happening to me, why am I having all these strange experiences, and to receive clarification, to receive guidance. So what I could do at the time was to share my experiences with the world and hope that someone would approach me and tell me what was happening to me. So one day I was approached by this man who started to ask me a lot of questions. He made me like a 2-hour interview online, but by text. And when the interview finished, I thought that he was an honest person who was curious about me and my experiences. But when the interview finished, he said to me, "Thank you so much for this information. It's going to be very helpful for our organization." And that's when I got our organization, and he disappeared. He only told me that it was an organization of scientists, ufologists, and investigators, and highly qualified people who were looking into astral projection, and that apparently I provided them with the information that they needed, and that's when he disappeared. 1 year later, I came across him once again, and when I decided to look up his name on the internet to see if I could find more information about him, and I discovered that he was a high-ranked officer from the Ohio base. I don't remember the exact name of the Ohio base, but I am sure that some of you can connect the dots here.
Yes, we sure can. I can imagine. Have you ever done remote viewing? Remote viewing.
I used to attempt to remote view back in the day, but I realized that remote viewing was pretty hard for me to do, and I decided to stick with astral projection, considering that this was something that I was already doing in my sleep for years, ever since I was 2 years old.
Now I lost my train of thought. Oh yes. How are we able to contact aliens ourselves if we wanted to? Is there a way to connect to them, like normal people?
That's a very hard question for me to answer. Why? Because I did the same thing back in 2009 before my abduction. I want to tell your audience, I want to share with all of you what actually caused this to happen, how everything started on the first place. So back in 2009 summer, I used to live in Florida with my family, and one night my brother and my aunt were grocery shopping, and I was at home with my mother. So it was approximately 8 p.m., and I was turning on the internet, and my mother was watching television. My brother calls her and tells her, "Mom, you have to come outside. You have to see something." I had no idea how running outside. What I saw was my mom was a car accident or something. So I went to my bedroom to get a charger for my iPod. But when I entered my bedroom, I saw a silhouette out of the corner of my eye standing outside the window. So as soon as I looked up, nothing was there. And I thought maybe it was just a night trick because, hey, we live on a 3rd floor, so why would someone be standing in front of my window from outside, right? So I immediately became fearful. I had the strangest feeling that something was watching me, so I ran out of the room. However, since the balcony of the living room led to the same place, which was a lake with a forest behind it, I was pretty much still exposed to whatever was watching me from outside. So I waited and waited until my family arrived, and when I asked them what happened, they told me, we saw a UFO. And that's when I was pretty much shocked, but I didn't tell them what happened to me because they weren't going to believe me. This actually triggered a sudden interest in me to start to research more about alien life and the UFO phenomenon. And this is what led me to discover everything about different conspiracy theories at the time about the government and the aliens working with the government and abductions and the graves and cannibalizations and all these kinds of weird things that a 16-year-old kid could not comprehend. So you could tell that I was pretty much very, very overwhelmed with all the information that I had. Going back to the subject, after this, a couple of months later, we moved back to Puerto Rico. And in November of 2009, this UFO sighting was in summer of 2009. And in November of 2009, that's when I experienced my first physical and the first physical abduction that I could recall. Because I don't know if I have ever been abducted at some other point in my life years back. And this night, I couldn't sleep. I could feel that something was about to happen, but I couldn't tell what. And there was this huge storm raging outside, but it wasn't the storm that was keeping me awake. It was me. And it was approximately 5 in the morning, and I was just face up on the bed looking at the ceiling. And at some point, a lightning struck and it lit the whole room. And everything seemed to freeze in time. And I became aware that there were 3 figures at the end of my bed. So when I turned to look, I saw 3 grays wearing black staring right back at me. And I became frightened. My reaction was pretty much obvious. And when I tried to roll out of bed, to jump to the floor, to run away, that is exactly the moment when I blacked out. And there was a time lapse of 2 hours of missing time.
Sounds like an abduction to me by the alien greys. What are they? What are alien greys? Are they real aliens, or are they just like clones?
They felt pretty much real to me. I have not come across a gray that has felt like a clone to me.
Do they speak?
But I have heard that there are clone grays.
Do they speak?
They do speak telepathically. I have not heard an audible voice, a specific tone of voice. It feels like you are speaking to yourself, but you know that you are not. That is how it feels.
What do they want?
Back then, my abduction, it became all clear to me in 2015 through a friend of mine who could actually communicate with these beings. And the purpose of my abduction was to remove I would say, an ethereal implant that I had in my throat, which was preventing me from speaking my truth and from being expressive and from being open with my feelings and emotions. And it makes sense because this person had no idea about my story and how I truly was back then. I was pretty much a very shy and introverted person, and I had a lot of trouble speaking up for myself, standing up for myself, and voicing my truth. I was bullied as a child by my family members, a lot of my cousins. All of them always rejected me. They would call me that I am a monster, that I couldn't play with them, that I didn't belong there. So this caused me to close off to becoming friends with other kids. And they saw that this block was so heavy that was affecting me and so to interfere to remove it. So even though it was a very disturbing experience, that I thought was for a negative purpose was actually positive in nature, aside from being done for hybrid purposes. Because later on, the same grace that abducted me, showed themselves to me to reveal to me that a reason of my abduction was also for hybrid purposes. Considering going back to before the abduction in 2009, one night I was stargazing and I was talking to the sky and I was saying, if it's true that the Greys need hybrids so that their race doesn't go extinct, I am willing to have their hybrid children. And shortly after that was my abduction. And they reminded me of that years later. That it was done for hybrid purposes.
You have children, if I'm correct.
Yes, I have children with the Greys.
Have you ever met them, seen them?
I have seen them before, but in very few occasions. And it is because it is such a disturbing thing for me to acknowledge that the Greys know this. So they try to introduce the hybrid children to me in a way that I don't become frightened of my own children. But it's not often when this happens, because they know that I don't want to deal with it. So it's been pretty much very rare when I've seen them.
How did this happen? Were you impregnated by some kind of machine or something, or was it done by an alien themselves?
It's different because I've had my encounters with them in different occasions, so it has been in different ways. One time I was forced to have sex with one of them, and especially with the mantoids. It's the mantis-looking beings.
Oh my God!
It has been more of a physical type of sex, if you will. With the Greys, everything is more detached, more sterile. It's more like insemination, instead of having literal touch with a Grey.
Oh my gosh, this is wild. Do you have any physical scars? One of my somebody in the chat was asking from this.
I don't have any physical scars. I have noticed, however, that in 2012 I started to get stretch marks out of the blue. And one time when my mother saw me when I was putting up a bikini suit to go to the pool, she told me, "Why do you have so many stretch marks? It doesn't even make any sense to me, because it's not like you're gaining a lot of weight and dropping a lot of weight constantly over and over and over." And I'm like, maybe my body is just weird. But she noticed some stretch marks in certain places in my body that I can't mention for obvious reasons. But she said that these stretch marks look as if I had given physical birth.
Does your mom know about
she
this?
Doesn't know anything.
Does your mom know?
She doesn't really know anything about the subject of aliens. She is the one who pretty much listens to my experiences, but she is not. She hasn't really researched information on her own on the internet. So it's everything that I have told her. So I found it quite interesting that she pointed that out to me.
Oh, I see. So how does your family react to all of this?
Can you repeat the question, because it's kind of cutting off?
Oh, sorry. How does your family react to all of this? Like hybrid children and stuff like that?
It was difficult in the beginning. I have to admit that this was something that I had to keep to myself for quite some time before how they would react. Like, oh, Zion has been abducted by aliens. I have a daughter who has had contact with aliens and has children with them. This was something that I really had to be careful with and spoon feed them little bits and pieces of information so that I could slowly make them used to listening to my complete experiences. So it definitely took me some time, but I can say now that I count with the support of my mother and my aunt. My brother doesn't want to be involved in this, but he does also support me.
I've had about a month ago. I had a lady who's a reptilian, and she spoke in a type of different reptilian language to her people. Do you have this type of language also, that you can talk to them in reptilian?
I have spoken in my astral encounters with the captain of the spacecraft. The captain is basically the father of the general. And if people have seen the cover of my book or have seen the depiction of the general on my website, the only difference is that the captain is much, much older than the general, but they're pretty much very alike in appearance. And one time I was arguing with the captain for some reason that I am not aware of right now. And I remembered that we were both speaking in another language. And if I were to try to speak it right now, I wouldn't be able to. It's such a complex language that a human tongue cannot possibly imitate, not even a single phrase from that language.
Do you believe that there's alien bases in the United States and elsewhere around the world, under the sea and in the earth, anywhere?
Yes, definitely. I say this because it's been rumored that in my country, Puerto Rico, there are alien bases in the oceans. So I do believe in this.
Do you believe that they seeded us here?
I don't really believe that, but however, I am open to the possibility that maybe we all came from an alien race.
Do you know about the 12 strands of DNA? Apparently now we have 2 of them, and it was them that genetically modified us.
No, I am not aware of that subject.
Oh, okay. These are just questions I wanted to ask you. Do you think by doing this show that we are all putting ourselves in danger?
We are the ones who are putting ourselves into danger. It's not an external force. I believe that we like to blame external forces for the problems and the mess that we make on this planet. As far as I am aware, the benevolent crew of Draconians that I am in contact with are not in any way involved either in the destruction of the planet, like some people have said, neither to help us. They firmly believe that we can help ourselves to get out of our own mess. Why? The Draconians that I am in contact with insist that we have the power to change the world, that we don't need an external force to interfere for us because we are the ones who are currently inhabiting this planet. Therefore, it is in our power to change the corrupted system.
Do you think disclosure is coming, that they're going to make themselves known to the world?
I don't believe that they are going to make themselves known, mostly because I don't believe that people are ready to see these beings, because we are killing each other every single day. So how would we react if we ever see them show up on their spaceships? You can be sure that the military is going to be the first one with their huge bazookas and their weapons trying to blow the spacecrafts out of the Earth. So I don't really believe that this is going to happen. However, my view of disclosure is that more and more people are going to speak up about their encounters and their experiences, which is exactly why I want everybody to not read my book, but to at least feel inspired by the words that I say and share with all of you guys, to either speak up about your experiences or to at least acknowledge them and feel that you are not alone. We are the disclosure.
Do these aliens or species, do they die? How long do they live for? Can they be killed?
I do believe that they can be killed. However, it may take a lot of struggle from a human to kill one of these ETs, because their bodies are vastly different from our own. Therefore, their bone structure and their skins are much, much thicker and harder to, let's say, make a hole in them like you would a human with a gunshot. So it may take a lot of power or some kind of weapon that we may not have to harm at least one of these beings.
What about a nuclear weapon? That would...
A nuclear weapon may be able to harm them. However, one of the things that I've been told about this is that nuclear weapons must go, and I've been told this from the Draconian crew that I am in contact with, because they are afraid that we may kill and exterminate ourselves or harm the planet severely. So even though they themselves have weapons, they are against using them for the sake of showing power or dominion over, let's say, another group or another country. But yes, maybe a nuclear weapon may be able to harm one of these beings.
I have some questions from my audience here. Are they resistant to our diseases? Would they possibly want our natural resources?
At least the Draconian crew that I am in contact with is not interested either in the resources of planet Earth or in anything. Again, they have told me that they're not here for the destruction or the evolution of the human race. They are here to observe my evolution as a human being on this planet. However, I don't discard the possibility that there are other races who may use the Earth's resources for their own benefit.
How long have these ETs, aliens, been here? Has it been millions of years?
They have said to me literally millions of years. However, I can't really speak for all the other races who have been on this planet. Maybe they have been here for much, much longer, or others have been here for a much, much shorter period of time. But the Draconian crew that I am in contact with, as far as I am aware, they haven't been here on Earth because, again, they're not interested in the planet.
I have a question here from somebody. It says, Zion, did you come to realize you were psychic and intuitive? And when did you first start reading cards? Did this happen prior to or after you had your encounters with the general?
It happened right after I started having contact with aliens in 2010. After the abduction in 2009, shortly after, I had this experience where I woke up on the floor from a spacecraft, and I saw that there was a reptilian squatting right in front of me, looking at me, and he stepped away. And when I stood up, I noticed that there were approximately 12 reptilians sitting on thrones, and they were all wearing hoods. And as soon as I approached them, I asked them, who were they? They told me, you are not fulfilling your contract, Zion. And I asked them, what contract? And one of them, because since this was a telepathic communication, I couldn't tell who was talking to me. They were referring your agreement that you're not fulfilling. And as soon as I asked, well, what agreement? That is when they gave me a vision of nuclear weapons, bombs exploding on different parts of the planet Earth, tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, natural disasters like earthquakes, people running, people crying, a lot of people dying in wars. And this was a vision of my reincarnation on Earth, of what I could expect once I came here to Earth. And ever since then, one time I went to a local psychic, and she pointed out to me to get a card deck. She said to me to get the tarot deck, whatever deck I resonated with, because she could see me reading for other people. And this is how I started to develop my intuition as a contact. I started to practice tarot readings on the side and just taking advantage of the energy that I was receiving after each contact, even if it was in the astral plane. I could feel a lot of high vibrational energy around me, and I could feel that there were presences that were there, that were present and wanted to help me to develop this gift. So yes, it definitely happened right after I started to have conscious contact, but before seeing and drawing the general.
Are there female reptilians? And if so, can they do what they did to you, to us human males on the Earth?
Well, there is a female general, which many of you will know that she is the wife of the general. She wanted me to call her Amelia. So yes, there are females, not just reptilian females, but draconian females. However, she is the only one that I have seen on the spacecraft of the general whenever I have visited them. I do believe that they can procreate with human males, but again, it can be in different ways. It can be sexual intercourse, or it can be just extracting the sperm from the human male.
I don't know. I mean, how does she look? I mean, what if we don't want to, if we don't find her attractive?
Well, my star mother, let's just call her that way, she's very tall, but very, very muscular. Not to the point of looking weird or anything, but she is very muscular, very powerful, but still looks rather feminine. Why? Because even though she is a female, she has a lot of masculine energy, and even though she has the body parts of a female, because I have seen her myself, but she definitely has a very strong masculine energy, and it is because of her powerful appearance.
Would these aliens be able to control or affect weather patterns on Earth, creating floods or drought?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Would they be able to control or affect weather patterns on Earth, creating floods or drought?
I don't really think so, because the Draco crew that I am in contact with, do not interfere unless they are asked to. Again, they are very militaristic in nature, so they follow strict orders, and they can't see something happening, they won't interfere unless you say something. I do believe that the Earth's weather is being manipulated, but by human forces.
Who are they taking orders from? Who is their leader?
I am not aware of who is their leader. So far, the only thing that I am aware of is that the captain is the leader of the spacecraft that I tend to visit. But I feel that there may be even a higher leader that is from another spacecraft, because this crew is part of a larger group. And another thing that a lot of people tend to ask me is, what is the meaning of the Star of David in their hats? And this Star of David, what we call the Star of David, is actually to them a symbol. To them, it's a symbol of a union of forces to serve and protect others.
Your name, Zion Zeta, does it have a special meaning? Did you choose this name?
I thought that I had chosen my name, but it was actually given to me when I decided to go public with my experiences. I did not want my extended family to know that I was talking about aliens and conspiracy, so I had to come up with a name pretty fast for an upcoming interview back in 2013. And one night around 2 in the morning, I was wondering to myself, what name could I use that I went months later? And that night, I could feel that there was a presence in the room next to me, and the name Zion popped up in my mind. And I asked, well, I need a last name, if you will, so that I can complete the name. And Zion. And I thought, hey, it sounds pretty cool, it sounds catchy, I like it, and I'm going to use it. So I decided to stick with it, but it wasn't until recently when I discovered that the meaning behind my name is sun rising. So it's like this meaning of helping others to come out of the darkness and to be the light that others are seeking.
I have a question here from one of my audience members. Have they ever told you that they are others here on Earth that are part of your soul family? Like they are other family members of you here, also on the same mission as you?
There are other people, but I am not aware that they may be a part of my soul family. As far as I am aware, I was going to have a twin, but my mother lost this twin, and this was going to be this being who goes by the name of Charlie, who is the son of the general. and he wanted to reincarnate with me on Earth as a female. He was going to be my female twin. However, he could not take the dense energy and vibration of this physical reality. So he had to abort the mission, so the fetus couldn't really make it.
Okay, whoa, that's pretty heavy stuff. Are you able to tell us about your book coming out? Because we haven't really gotten it's going to be available, anything like that. Anything you care to tell us about your book?
Well, I have a wait list that if people are interested in purchasing the book, if any of you guys in the audience has enjoyed what I have shared so far in this hour and 15 minutes, there is a wait list for the book where I share all of this and much, much more. There is a giveaway that I am currently doing where one of you is going to win a autographed copy of Connecting the Stars. All you have to do basically is to go to my website, zionzeta.com / and sign up with your name and your email address. Not only are you going to be receiving the updates that I may give out just for this list in specific, but you will also know when the book is going to be available for purchase. It's going to be released on June 16, but you will be the first one to receive the link to actually buy it. And you will also receive my monthly Terrestrial forecast, which is a monthly readings for the zodiac signs. So if all of you have been wanting to purchase this book and want to be the first one to know and have enjoyed this, sign up on my website, zionzeta.com / waitlist. In this book, Connecting the Stars, I'll be getting into a lot of things that I have already shared on this interview, how everything began, all of the experiences in full detail, along with the conversations that took place. So everything is much, much more detailed. So if you guys enjoy what I have shared so far, you will enjoy the book, Connecting the Stars.
How long did it take you to write the book?
I know there's been like a lot of people, I think from your audience, who has been contacting me a couple of days ago asking me when is the book going to be released, if I'm going to be releasing a Kindle version or an audio version, and I am. However, right now it's only going to be available in paperback in the meantime, but I am working very hard on releasing the Kindle version, and if possible, I am doing everything on my own because I don't really have support from anybody. It's going to take some time.
Okay, now my question was, how long did it take you to write this book?
The book took me about 1.5 years. And it's been pretty challenging because everything started very easily in the beginning, but then it started to get more complicated because I could not remember how everything happened in the exact order. Now, some of you may know that I am a very perfectionist person and I hate to make mistakes, and I like to make things as perfect as I possibly can. It makes sense considering that my soul belongs to a family where everybody is basically quite militaristic in nature, very strict, and I like to follow the rules and be as correct as I possibly can. So perfectionism has held me back a little bit from writing the book. I know that I could have finished it much earlier than I had planned. However, due to life circumstances, I had to take approximately about 1.5 years writing it. I started to write the book in October of 2014 on the same day that a beloved person that I used to be close with passed on, as well as someone who I used to admire, Dolores Cannon, who used to be an excellent expert in hypnotherapy and cases about alien encounters and abductions. And on the same day of her passing and my friend's passing, that's when I decided to write the book.
What is it for a day in the life of Zion Zeta? Is it normal or is it extra normal?
Well, it's pretty much very normal. Right now, I am in college. I am in DeVry University pursuing an associate's degree in graphic and web design. This is something that I have been doing professionally for over 6 years. However, you know that, in America, in order to get a job, you need to have a degree, right?
Right.
So I decided to enroll in DeVry University. So pretty much, my life is pretty much very normal day to day. The occasional vision or encounter in the astral plane with a general or one of the members from the family, but everything has kind of calmed down. I think that as soon as I became aware of their presence and their role in my life, the more negative experiences with the shadow military and other ETs stopped completely.
How do I put this over here? In your book, do you have any, like, what a main alien would you be? A reptilian or an alien gray? And if we could take out, like, your soul out of your body?
I have not seen myself, but there has been 4 people who have seen me and how I supposedly look like to them. And these 4 people don't know each other, but they have seen me in the same way. So to them, I am a hybrid between a gray and a draconian, because they have seen me that my head is completely bald, I don't have hair at all, semi-large head, not too prominent, large red eyes, just like the general, and I also have a tail, something that neither the general or Amelia, his wife, or the captain have. However, my star brother Charlie does have a tail, and his head is also semi-large. But our eyes aren't huge. They're pretty much normal, just a little bit larger than the humans, but not so large like the Greys. My eyes are red, just like the general. My head is semi-large, but I have a very delicate body structure, unlike the female general, who is very muscular. My body structure is pretty much very delicate and athletic.
Are you able to shapeshift?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add before we come to the closing of this show?
Something that I would like to add for all of you who are currently listening to this show is that just because a being looks intimidating does not mean that they are evil. This is exactly what happened to me with the general. In the beginning, I was frightened of him. I thought that he wanted to kill me or rape me or something weird. But eventually, I understood the reason why he showed up on the first place, which was to open up my mind to the reality that not all of them are evil just because they look frightening. The same thing goes to the Greys. I have had my negative encounters with them, plenty of negative encounters with the Greys, but I understand that even though I am still a little bit disturbed with the Greys and I do not really want to deal with them, I am learning to accept that not all of them are after me to harm me or to take something from me. Now, with the mantoids, with the mantis-looking beings, it's even harder because I have been raped before by a couple of different mantoid beings. So it's obviously pretty much normal for me to be afraid of them, to not want to deal with them. However, this draconian crew that I am in contact with have been trying to slowly help me to, introduce the mantoids to me. And it's funny because the general one time, I was too happy to be able to visit him on his spacecraft one night in the astral plane. But as soon as I heard clicking noises, I had a meltdown. And I was freaking out, I was crying, I was hyperventilating, and the general was next to me trying to calm me down, and he wanted me to face this mantoid because not all of them are evil or sinister or anything. But I had such a hard time that he had to command the mantoid to leave the room immediately. So you can tell that these beings want to help me to heal my fears towards other races, but there's always something within myself blocking me from contacting and to interact with these other beings. But I am slowly getting there. Now, the reason why I say this is because I don't want people to think that it's everything perfect and fine and that everything is rosy pink and whatnot. I do still have my traumas that the Draconians are still trying to help me to heal from. And this is something that a lot of you will notice on the book where I talk about the mantoids, but there is really no happy ending, so to speak, with the mantoids. It is still a work in process that I am working on myself. It's a lot of inner emotional work to do, but I am getting there. I believe that Draconians have helped me to be stronger, to step into my truth, to speak up without fear, and to empower people. That is the message of the Draconians. This crew in specific, at least, they want the human race to know that we have the power within. And it is up to us how we want to use it, but they hope that we can use it wisely, not only to wake others up to what is going on in the world, but to also empower other people to take action and save the world, because we are destroying ourselves each and every single day by killing each other, polluting the earth, poisoning our water. Even the air is being poisoned, and this is something that they are aware of. And the only way to resolve this is to speak up and inform others. But something that they are highly against is to inform people by instilling fear into their hearts. We believe firmly that we can inform others about what is currently going on in the world without having to use fear tactics to sell these people something. This is something that I have seen a lot in the UFO community. I'm not going to mention any names, but there has been several people, published authors and so-called experts, who inform of what's going on, you know, about reptilians ruling the world supposedly, the reality of people going missing, the alien abductions and so forth, all kinds of things. But they do so in such a way that they are also instilling fear in people. And it is just like religion. When you use fear in something, you can control an entire group. And this is exactly what the Dracos are against it. They want people to be empowered. They don't want people to live in fear. And this is exactly why one of the reasons why I'm going public with my experience with the general. I do firmly believe that it is up to us to impact the world in a positive way, because after all, we are here because we are the ones who have the power, not them. So it's time to take charge of our mission and to march forward.
One final question. Does the general have any other children other than yourself?
No, just me and Charlie.
Okay, perfect. Well, Zion Zeta, it's been a wonderful time. We've definitely got to have you back on our show sometime when the book comes out, or anytime you want. And I hope you had a great time on our show and you got to say what you wanted.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having me on your show, and Mario, and everybody who was here with us tonight listening to the show. I hope that I was able to empower people with the things that I shared and to inspire all of you with my story. And thank you so much, Robert, for giving me a space on your show to speak up about my experiences.
It's our pleasure, and let's share this video everywhere when it comes out on YouTube.
Yes, I am looking forward to that.
Perfect. All right, so you have a good night, and we'll talk again soon. And thank you for coming on the MnRTV Live Show.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having me, and I hope that everybody has a beautiful night. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Mario, we had a wonderful show tonight, did we not?
Yes, we did. I'm glad you know, with all this great information right there. The only thing I don't understand in all this is the Lord Jesus Christ. You know, all these creatures, reptilians and aliens and greys don't like the Lord Jesus Christ. They run from the Lord Jesus Christ. So I don't know if I want to be friends with one of these greys or reptilians.
Well, there's also been information that there might be other races, good and bad, that have been in it, like people. Maybe there's some good ones, some bad ones. We simply don't know, but we will know one day. But I know about the evil ones that do exist, because I've encountered like shadow creatures and that. But you know,
well, they're interdimensional. They're interdimensional beings, kind of like the Hat Man that was standing right here, and he was staring down at me, you know. And
how tall was the Hat Man?
Oh, it must have been around this tall. Nothing tall, you know. And he hates the Lord Jesus Christ. So I don't know, you know. I mean, that's my feeling. That's how I think. That's what I know, you know.
All right.
But anyhow.
We're gonna end the show tonight with a great guest, Zion Zeta. Be sure to show this video to everybody that when it's recorded, and also to share it, because we got to get the news out about what's going on in outer space, aliens, ETs, reptilians, praying mantis, Palladians, and so on and so forth. So thank you for joining us tonight on the MnRTV Live Show, and we'll be back next week with another great guest. So until then, God bless you all. Thank you for watching. We love you all. Good night, everybody.
Yes, thank you for watching. And keep praying. And you know, we'll be back next week, hopefully. Thank you for watching.
We will.
You people out there, you're the greatest. Good night. Bye.
All right.